Good morning. Welcome to day 8. I wanted to proceed today to the next step in my discussion of why I believe what I believe. But I'll tell you what, I have to pause and backtrack. And the reason why deserves a little story. I am obviously streaming these live on Facebook, but I am also posting them on our family's homesteading YouTube channel. It's the channel that I had set up for homesteading videos back when we were doing that. And obviously, they're not attracting a ton of views, but what I've found is that in the tens of people who have been watching what I've posted, there must be some people who troll YouTube and search for videos like the ones that I am posting about the arguments for the existence of God with the intent of responding to them with skeptical comments. I have, even though I only have tens of views for these videos on YouTube, I have a plethora of comments, and my favorite handle for the people who are commenting so far is Bible Burner. So if that gentleman watches this when I upload it, it'll be thoroughly interesting because in a sense, this video that I'm making today is a response to Bible Burner and the many other folks who are trolling and making comments on my YouTube page. Now, what is the issue? The issue is that Bible Burner and these other commentators are saying that I am making things up. I am, how does he put it? I'm making stuff up as I go along. I am creating a God to fill gaps which science could just as well explain. And the demand is that I prove that and the word they use is demonstrate God's existence before I proceed further. And it's interesting, I've caused some frustration in responding to these comments in writing by saying, I can't prove God's existence. And I need to stop and make today's video and reiterate that this is the case. I think there are some apologists, professional apologists, who think you actually can prove God's existence by looking at what are called these proofs, these arguments for God's existence. But that's not the case at all. Our Catholic faith teaches us that faith is a gift. And there's a famous phrase by a philosopher named St. Anselm where he speaks of believing in order that he may seek understanding. Credo ut intelligam. I believe in order that I may understand. So what I'm doing here really is backtracking as a believer and looking at the world around me and saying there are things in the world that are signs that affirm what it is that I believe by faith. And I am not making this up. I probably should have started as Aquinas does in his Summa. What Aquinas first contemplates before he provides his quinque viae, his 5 ways that I've been going through, the cosmological argument especially, is he considers the question of whether God's existence is self-evident. And Aquinas is great at making distinctions. He says, he who makes distinctions teaches well. And he makes a distinction here. He says that although God's existence is self-evident in itself, it is not self-evident to us. And the reason that God's existence is not self-evident to us is because we cannot perceive God. He is totally other. You can't look and say, hey, there's God out there. Look, you have to acknowledge that he exists because there he is. What do we see? We see God's effects in the world. In other words, we can only know God, the philosophical word is a posteriori, that is, by his effects. And the fact is, when you can know something only by its effects, you can think of other explanations for it too. And that's why, as much as I can make arguments saying, hey, look, if there is order in the universe, there must be an orderer, somebody else could say, well, there are other ways to explain order as well. So one of these commenters said, then why do it? Why do it? And I went ahead and added a comment from 1 Peter where St. Peter says, "Be always ready with an answer to everyone who asks the reason for the hope that is in you." My hope here, my humble hope, is to show that belief in God is reasonable, that it is consonant with what we know by looking at the universe around us. Not to prove God's existence, but in fact that belief in God is reasonable. That is my limited, my humble aim with these videos. Thank you. God bless.